Front roll when you're ready. Go ahead and roll. You guys all set? Okay. So we're going to talk first about Lollapalooza, if that's okay. How do you feel about it? This is your first time in the tour, right? In Lollapalooza. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about that? How it feels to be in that for the first time? Are you looking forward to it?
We've always wanted to do Lollapalooza, but we just never felt the timing was right or the circumstances were right. It wasn't like we were always waiting, let's wait till we're the headliners or something. We were plenty prepared not to be, but I don't know. We're excited. It's just, we've just been touring for 10 months. It's hard to think about more touring.
Hold on, just 1 second, bouncer.
So, have you ever been to Lollapalooza shows before, just as an audience?
No, because most of the times when Lollapalooza's been, like in Chicago, we've been on tour. And, we had, actually, other members of the band went the first year because we ran into Jane's Addiction and they invited us to go, but I was so completely out of my mind at the time. I flew home and everyone stayed, so I've never gone, I just had an opinion of it just from everything that I'd heard, and maybe that was better, because if I had gone, I would have been backstage and not had any kind of sense of the shows, so I've always just heard about it from kids that I meet and stuff, so.
So, we heard something about the main stage bands having something to do with recommending the other acts that were going to be in Lollapalooza. Did you guys have anything to do with that? Or what did you heard about the Fillmore before being asked to play here? Did you know anything about it?
Just that it's like this very historic kind of, it's where all this, the 60s kind of psychedelic San Francisco, culture grew up, and this is always the place that's associated with it, so. I've read my Jimi Hendrix books, so that's it. That's about as far as it goes.
So, does it mean anything in particular to you to be on stage where Hendrix and Janis and all those people?
Well, I seriously doubt it's the same stage. I put it this way. I can remember being about 22 years old and going, wow, this is where Bauhaus stood. That meant something to me, like when I was 22. But at this point now, it doesn't mean that much.
Do you think that the reopening of the Fillmore signifies anything more than just another place to hear music?
I think it's nice. I think, this is we seem not to spend a lot of energy to maintain the integrity of our architecture and culture. America is a kind of compressed 200-plus year culture, and it's nice to see people going out of their way. Like in our community in Chicago, people are restoring old movie theaters from the 30s and stuff, and it's really nice to see people still trying to hold on, not out of some sense of nostalgia, but out of appreciation for a time when there was a little deeper level of sophistication, as opposed to let's paint all the walls black and stick the bar in the corner. And we played plenty of places like that, and it's really nice to play in an environment that is a little more aesthetically pleasing. It seems to put a nice color on top of the concert.
What about the size of the hall? You've been playing some pretty big venues. Does that feel good to be smaller?
It doesn't really mean anything to us anymore, 8 to 80, 8 to 80,000, whatever.
Do you want to talk about any of the influences or acts that have performed here?
No, I'm completely non-influenced talking these days. It's a collar that I've finally seemed to remove, and I'm happy to have it off my neck.
What about any other significance this gig has for you?
I just think it's really cool. We're very surprised and honored that they wanted us to play, but I think it's really cool. That's all.
Can I ask you one? Bill Graham was really known for putting together these eclectic bills, and now tonight you're opening when Ry Cooder's going to be here also. Does that have any special meaning to you?
I think it's great. I wish there was more of that. I think that we've tried to take out more eclectic acts opening for us, and the shame is that in Middle America, those kind of bands are met with a lot of resistance. And I wish there was more of it. I really do. But it doesn't seem like there's a concerted effort by anyone anywhere to really kind of do that.
Some of the old timers that played here talked about how in San Francisco the audiences were hungry for experience, and that's why these kind of eclectic.
Well, they're also on a lot of drugs too. You know, I mean that went hand in hand, I think, with the experience too.
Is there a comparison between that age and this age in terms of drug use?
Well, I can't really answer that, but I just don't think we're ever going to experience the same kind of naivete. I mean, my father really summed it up for me, because he saw Hendrix play. He'd never even heard of him. He saw him play in like '67 or whatever, and he said you have to remember that, like, before Hendrix, when your amp distorted, you took it to the shop and got it fixed. He said, surf guitar was about as far as it went. And there was this absolute explosion, not only of culture, but of sound and the way people approach music. And I don't think until they invent some new way to play everything, we're going to experience that same kind of shock and surprise. And I think if you, I know way too much about music, and if you examine the way that people reacted to music, by 1970, the whole psychedelic explosion experience thing was over, and people were already moving off into some kind of weird, bluesy, freaky thing. So, obviously its impact only lasted for a short period of time before the musical style seemed to change, and then not too long after that we had disco, so it doesn't say much about the power of the 60s.